as a test prep professional, and I'm sure your math teachers hear the same thing, which is, when am I ever going to need to use this? Well, today we're going to look at Test 5, Section 4, number 35. If you're a landscaper, you might need to know your math. My name is Paul Pasulka, Ivy Masters Learning Center. Number 35 reads, a landscaper is designing a rectangular garden. The length of the garden is to be 5 feet longer than the width. If the area of the garden is 104 square feet, what is the length of the garden in feet? So, after reading it, you might be like, yeah, no one really says that. I want the length to be 5 feet longer than the width. They just say I want it to be 13 by 8 or something like that. So, when would you really need this type of math? Well, when you grow up to be an SAT test prep professional. So, how are we going to do this? Here's a good rule of thumb. Anytime there's something to draw, just draw it. So what have we got here? We've got a rectangle. So we draw a rectangle. The length is going to be 5 feet longer than the width. Instead of using X, I like to use W. Why? Because width is W. And then you're not going to get your L and your W mixed up. And if the length is 5 feet longer than the width, I'm going to put W plus 5. I like to put the letter first because usually that is how it appears when you're doing like some quadratic or something like that. The area is 104 square feet, so in the middle I'm just going to say A equals 104. And hopefully you know, and if you don't, it's on the first page of your math section. Even on test day, it'll be on the first page. The area for a rectangle is length times width. So we have A equals L times W. A equals, in place of L, I'm going to put W plus 5. And in place of W, I put W. And that's a 5, not an S. Make it look more like a 5. And I know I put the W after. Usually, you're probably used to seeing it before. You can put it before, it's the same thing. Remember, 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3. We would distribute that, and we wind up with W squared plus 5W. And we already know, actually, that our area is 104, so I'm going to put that in place there. Now, we're going to take it back up to the top because we're running out of space over here. Remember, quadratics always have to be set equal to 0. So what do we do? W squared plus 5W. If you subtracted 104 from both sides, we'd get minus 104 equals 0. If you're ever in a situation where you've got a big number, see that 104 is pretty big, how are you going to factor it? Because we know now that we've got a factor like this. We need a W here, a W here. Our signs have to be plus minus because we've got to multiply to get a negative 104 and add to get a positive 5W5. And so we know our positive has to be bigger. So one trick that you can do is if you took the square root of 104, it would be a little more than 10. So work from there. Now you can ask yourself, does 9 go in? Well, 9 only goes into numbers that have a sum that is divisible by 9. So 1 plus 0 plus 4 is 5. 9 doesn't go into 5, so 9 is not going to go into 104. Does 8 go in? Actually, 8 does go in. How many times does it go in? It goes in 20. It goes in 13 times. So 13 here and 8 here actually multiply to give you 104, and they add to give you 5. Fantastic. So what do we do here? W is going to equal negative 13, and W is going to equal a positive 8. And how'd you know that? Well, the step in between there, you'd say W plus 13 equals 0, W minus 8 equals 0. And then you'd add 8 to both sides, get W equals 8, subtract 13 from both sides, W equals 13. You cannot have a negative width, so we know that W is out. It's asking for the length, actually. So this is your width. Remember, you got to plug it back in over here to find your length. So your length is 13. That's what you want to bubble in as your answer. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You can share it with someone who has trouble with forming quadratics from word problems. If there's any question you'd like to answer from any official PSAT or SAT or ACT, leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. And click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Have a great day.